Good morning, friends. This is your old girl, Melanie Rose, here to share your daily aspects. Today is Friday, November 19, 2021. During these last few days of the sun's transit through Scorpio, I hope we will all give some thought to the metamorphoses we have undertaken. I was reading from the book Ancient Ways today, written by Pauline Campanelli, and it reminded me that Samhain and the sun in Scorpio are only the beginning of this, the chrysalis, the half of year dominated by the night. From now until the winter solstice, the days continue to grow shorter, and our opportunities to go within, to work with our shadows, and to connect with spirit continue to expand. Don't forget the commitment and focus with which we began these changes. This work isn't supposed to be easy. The outcome will be well worth the dedication we've shown. Welcome to the full moon in Taurus. First, I want to say that the moon became full just before 3 o'clock this morning, and the partial lunar eclipse began a couple of minutes later. Some of us may have missed it, but that's okay. We continue to benefit from these energies. November's full moon is referred to as the Beaver Moon. This is the time of year when beavers are most active in preparing their elaborate shelters for the winter. I can recall house sitting for a friend in Oregon in the fall, and whole trees would go missing from her yard overnight, leaving those characteristic chewed-off pointy stumps behind. Because the beavers are so active in the night at this time, it's traditional for us humans to set traps for them by the full moon's light, so that we can collect their pelts and keep ourselves and our loved ones warm through the winter. This is actually a very Taurus kind of energy because it points to the work we put in to make our home space as cozy as we may. As for the partial lunar eclipse in Taurus, the Wee Moon calendar has this to say: let the shadow reveal the material attachments you hold dear, and also what you may give up for them. Bring forward where true satisfaction lies, and what sustains your desires. Be your own precious cargo. I'm going to put that in here. The eclipse says, be your own precious cargo. So this full moon is loaded with energies and portents that put the spotlight on our relationship to material comfort and self-care. We are invited to indulge, and while we indulge, we are invited to notice what we have willingly given up so that we could do so. Furthermore, the moon makes ingress from Taurus to Gemini this morning. This represents another transition in the heart and home, from fixed earth vibes to mutable air vibes, from immersing ourselves in grounded comfort to the impulse to talk, laugh, and create with our friends and loved ones. Let's take a look at these planets and aspects before we get into any further interpretations. I have prepared a legend of the symbols we'll be looking at today so that we can start with an idea of some of the energies that are at play. So, today we have with us, as ever, the sun. The sun represents our outer life. That is the person that people meet when they meet us for the first time, and that is the person that we are when we're out in the civic, social, or work sphere. We also have the moon with us. The moon represents the inner life. This is our relationship with ourself, our emotions and intuitions, and it also relates to our domestic sphere, so where we are at home, with whom we are at home, and who we are when we're at home. Saturn is present today. Saturn represents the structures that we build to support ourselves and the responsibilities we take on to maintain those structures. Mars is here. Mars represents our personal sense of initiative. Mercury represents the intellect, especially the day-to-day thoughts, communications, and plans that we make. Neptune is here with us today, and Neptune represents our relationship to the human collective, or where we stand in the human spirit, in the flow of the human spirit. Venus is also with us today, and that's another relationship one. This is our relationship to those people and things that we value the most, otherwise known as love and money. As for the aspects or energies that we'll be encountering today, we have a couple of oppositional aspects on board. Those represent the potential for conflict. They're also the invitation to find the balance in a situation. This funny looking little arrow is an ingress. That means we're making a transition as that planet moves from one sign and into the next. And we also have some trines on board today. Trines are very positive, in fact harmonious, and they pretty much guarantee good times and good outcomes. The signs of mention today are Scorpio, Taurus, Gemini, and Sagittarius. Okay, so I have divided our aspects into two columns, one for each of our luminaries. The moon sheds light on our nights, and it moves very quickly, creating many brief aspects that represent ambient energies that may produce moods and other internal experiences for us through the course of the day. The sun sheds light on our days. I address the rest of the planets on this side because these aspects take longer and they have more of an impact on our actions and interactions out in the world. We start with the sun today. In our ongoing column, today is day 3 of 4 for Mars in opposition to Uranus. When Mars and Uranus make aspect together, we feel inspired to act on a new or different idea. Opposition tends to bring about conflict, and with Mars involved, this may be us having a frustrated or angry response to someone or something that appears to slow us down or get in our way. Sometimes people will try to convince us that our fabulous new and different idea isn't realistic. Sometimes we will come to that conclusion on our own and choose to let it go. Otherwise, we have to carry out our intentions with the knowledge that we may encounter some resistance from the new people around us. Not from the new people around us, just from the people around us. So the impulse is to try new things, and we may encounter resistance when we do that. Today is day 2 of 2 for this very positive Mercury trine Neptune aspect. This very positive aspect is marked by increased sensitivity, creativity, imagination, and in general, feeling connected to spirit and the human collective. Our ability to work and share with others is much enhanced right now. It's as though we're able to back up and see the big picture, that we're all in this together, and that looks and feels really good to us at this time. All in this together, and we're loving it. And today is day 2 of 4 for Venus trine Neptune. Or pardon me, Venus trine Uranus. Man, Uranus is getting a lot of action over here. With this aspect, our affections are stimulated in a very positive way by things that are new and different. We may seek to do something a little bit different in the bedroom with our partners, or if we're unpartnered, we might begin a brief but exciting affair with someone who would normally stand a little bit outside our template for attraction. Aside from those things, this is generally a positive time for socializing and trying new things. A personal or financial investment in a new venture is likely to work out well. This aspect lasts about 4 days and comes around 2 or 3 times a year, and we'll follow up on it again tomorrow. Positive attitudes toward change, especially when it comes to our love and money. Trines virtually guarantee good outcomes. As for today, this morning at 2:57 a.m. Central Standard Time, the sun went in opposition with a void of course moon. This is the aspect's way of saying this is when the moon is at its most full, and it's interesting to me that it was at its most full while it was void of course. This moon, if you're up right around 7 a.m., you can watch the full moon set as the sun rises. And this is what opposition looks like. They're at opposite ends of the sky from our perspective. With all of that being said, symbolically speaking, this aspect says that the outer life is possibly at odds with the inner life. Probably the inner life wants to stay inside and be cozy, while the outer life says, right, we still have work to do. It isn't uncommon at this time to come into conflict with ourselves and others, or simply with circumstances beyond our control. But it is the full moon, it's a celebratory time, so let's try to keep the mood grounded and fun. The effects of this aspect last about 1 day. Inner, outer, life, conflict, or balance. I like to think of this aspect like a balance is going to be struck. The question is, are we going to go ahead and get into a conflict over it before that balance finds its place? On the moon side, at 8:33 a.m., the moon makes ingress or goes into Gemini. Gemini is ruled by Mercury, our planet for the intellect. Those thoughts, communications, and plans we make on the day-to-day, that's Mercury. So it's natural that when the moon is in Gemini, we feel more enthusiasm to talk, listen, and collaborate. Plans are subject to change with communication. Just be careful not to let your optimism commit you to do more things than you can manage. Talk, collaborate, create. Just don't get spread too thin. And this is a 2.5 day transit. And then in the afternoon at 1:12 p.m., the moon makes a trine aspect with Saturn. Under the effects of this 2-hour aspect, we are capable internally, emotionally, and intuitively to handle the sometimes difficult things that necessarily go into maintaining good relationships with ourselves and others. Whether this applies to shadow work, where we go within and work to clear out our own negative habits and impulses, or whether it applies to having a hard conversation with a domestic partner, now is the time. Our inner strength is high, and we are offered good outcomes in return for our efforts. Do the tough internal domestic work, emotional work. Again, that's a 2-hour aspect. So today's lunar energy signature is clearly one that encourages collaboration with our closest allies from the heart and in the home. Tomorrow brings us to lunar apogee, which comes around once a month, making the moon's influence in our lives a little less apparent to us. This Sunday, the sun will make ingress into Sagittarius, and we'll begin to explore the sense of adventure and clarity that sign's influence has to offer. Clean breaks and fresh starts all around, friends. Welcome to the traditional new year. We'll talk about these things and more in upcoming episodes. That's it for today, friends. This has been your Daily Aspects, an astrological weather forecast for Friday, November 19, 2021. If you haven't already, please like my video and subscribe to the Old Girl channel. I will leave this up here for about 30 seconds so that you can have time to look it over. Thank you all so much for being here with me today. My name is Melanie Rose, and I'll see you all back here tomorrow for more daily aspects.